Hello everyone and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. Hey, it's me, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello DJ, what's happening, man?
Just listen to some jams.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's gone. No, nothing, I'm just talking to you, man.
Well, if I left it on, you wouldn't be able to hear me. We have this kind of weird issue.
That'd be a very hard show to do, hearing every other word from the main host.
Yeah, well, it would be a challenge for everyone involved, and it would be a true testament to how big of a Geekvolution, I always hesitate to use the word fan, but, like, how big of a Geekvolutionary are you really, We've had folks that will sit through commentaries just completely breaking down, and, like, they're still there, hoping against hope that we can get the technical difficulties together, and, yeah, it always, I don't think anything more than that, like warms my heart the way that does, when people stick around while their time is completely wasted.
Well, yeah, at that point, it's like a train wreck. You just want to watch.
Yeah, good call. I think some folks stick around just to see if I'll start screaming.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about going live all the time is people want to see when you crack.
Yeah, exactly.
See that moment.
Because we don't cut out anything anymore. It's 100% raw.
Yeah.
Even that rewind I did a couple of weeks ago about the backs of the boxes, where I kicked something and I lost my camera, and it took me 5 minutes to get it set back up. That footage is still, or lack thereof, is still there, and I went back in later and tried to cut it out because YouTube has an editor, and you can do that.
I've done that, yeah.
I couldn't make it work that night. I think it was too soon after, and then I forgot about it. And so, yeah, it's still there. If you go back and listen to that audio, I haven't updated the podcast feed, and when I do that, I'll probably cut that section out because, I mean, watching it might be amusing. Imagine listening to it.
Listening to just, hold on, just like. Yeah, I've used that feature before. It's pretty nice. I've cut out some intros that like went a little long, or like that where I wasn't going live yet. It's a nice
I probably should do that, but people are so used to us being kind of raw now. I think it's kind of okay. You kind of get used to it. And there's a lot of people that do regular live shows where there's like 15-20 seconds of a thumbnail at the beginning or a title
or
card
those
or whatever.
Timers. How do those people get those like countdown clocks? Those are cool. I want to get one of those.
They used to do it automatically.
Oh, like YouTube would do it?
Yeah, or
OBS.
Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, actually, I don't know about live. I used to do premieres for pre-recorded content, and I don't know if it does that anymore because I haven't watched those in a while, but those gave you an automatic timer.
Yeah, those are cool. Yeah, I still watch Sif Pop, and they always have a timer at the beginning of their live streams, and I'm like, that's really fancy. I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
welcome to the live show, folks. How is it going? We sure appreciate you joining us for yet another exciting, rousing evening of Q&A and popular culture news talk, and talking about whatever you guys are in the mood to chat about related to pop culture, superhero stuff, sci-fi things, anything and everything in between within reason. And as always, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount that guarantees that whatever you want to talk about is discussed on the air tonight. We will go for at least an hour. We always promise that, but you can keep the train moving along by asking us questions, putting in super chats if you're so inclined, and we sure appreciate anybody who has done or ever will do that for helping to keep the train running here on Geekvolution. If you want to leave a regular comment with a question, we'll answer as many of those tonight as possible as well, and you can tag DJ at DJ Martinez. He'll answer to that. He'll answer to the welder. He'll answer to Guy with the colored DVDs in the background. He'll answer to really anything.
I like that ongoing joke that you put a different spin on every single week. It's really the reason I'm
going to stop doing it now that you called attention to it, I think.
Just to see how you do that every week. That's why I'm here.
But anyway, so add DJ Martinez, and we'll try to answer some pre-written stuff as well. Tonight, we're going to do a double-sided, it makes it sound like Two-Face. Tonight, we're going to talk about the evils and the good things about DC still continuing to make films. No, tonight, we're going to talk about two upcoming DC projects, one that was just officially announced, although it seemed pretty clear that it was going to happen, inevitable to a lot of folks, even months and a year or two before now, and the other movie that we finally have a trailer for, when before it was just concept art and like tiny bits of footage. There really is, it seems like, a Black Adam movie happening, or at least there's a trailer for one. It's going to be great when this is all said and done and we find out that this whole thing was just a coup for Dwayne Johnson to make a fan trailer for a movie he had no intention of actually making. I can't wait for that to end up when the date keeps getting pushed back even further and further, and finally we get to April Fool's Day 2023, and Dwayne Johnson goes, "Yeah, I was just kidding. It's been a decade of me going, I'm gonna play Black Adam. I can't wait." Why would you think I'd be that excited about playing Black Adam? I mean, seriously.
I kind of want that to be the truth now. That's amazing.
No, that's not going to happen. This movie does seem like it's real, and it's actually finally going to happen. And what's going to be really interesting to me is just to see how many people really care about this and really get excited about it, based on Dwayne Johnson, based on some of the other DC lore that is finally being integrated in live action. So yeah, talking about that as well. Since I've already gone into a diatribe about that and made that joke longer than probably my commentary, I'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about the Black Adam trailer. So everybody knows how this question and response is going to go, but DJ, did you see the trailer?
I did.
Curveball! Okay, I'm going to let DJ field this first then. DJ, you watched the trailer for Black Adam. Did it make you excited or even mildly interested in seeing this film?
I did. I did watch the trailer for Scorpion King 3, and nah, not really. No, I don't know. I'm going to have less to say even than you do about this. I was surprised at the kind of Marvel-y humor that was in it, given the way it started all like super dark, and then the way Dwayne Johnson's been talking about it, and then he shows up and we almost have like a Thor 1 scene where he like runs into the truck and they're like freaked out, and then he catches the bullet. I don't know, the way he like moved to catch the bullet, and then like the way he popped up in the window, it was really, that scene was really goofy to me. I don't know how it's going to play in the movie, but I don't know. But it didn't get me excited. It just seemed like, we've talked about this before, when they throw like generic backstory at you at the very beginning of a movie, it kind of just washes over me, and I need to like get in the actual story. And that's kind of what the beginning of the trailer was like. They took my son from me, and now I'm evil. And then like he gets thrown into our world. I don't know. It didn't get me.
I died one time, and now I have powers. And Pierce Brosnan thinks that they bring me nothing but pain.
But I mean, if I had watched the trailer for Shazam and they had shown the backstory of that in that trailer, I probably would have felt the same way. But then that turned out to be, a fun movie. So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, it might be nice if that character was in this movie, to be honest with you, if they're gonna, and maybe that kind of humor that you're talking about is gonna be really few and far between, but it will be kind of weird if you go see this movie and it's a lot lighter than you were expecting, and then you go, okay, how come we didn't introduce Black Adam in a Shazam movie, or why doesn't he appear? Or is it possible they're keeping that under their hats, like it's that big of a deal or big of a reveal or surprise in the movie that like third act he shows up? But I don't know why there would... The only reason you would have Shazam in this movie is if Black Adam is going to be his arch nemesis. So it would be kind of weird if the whole point of the movie, as it seems to be, is he going to choose... I mean, it's really your kind of standard light side, dark side thing, right? Like, he is... he kills people. He's got a bad attitude, this guy. And he is, an anti-hero before he's a superhero. Dwayne Johnson acting like that's never been done. Or like we haven't haven't been selling half of superhero movies on that idea for the last several years.
Or half of his movies. He always plays the tough guy who like turns out to have a heart of gold and is like turns out being a good guy at the end.
So I mean, Dr. Fate, Pierce Brosnan, and I love that casting, and he looks cool, and he is like the kind of the only reason I'm there right now, where I'm like, I just kind of want the Pierce Brosnan Dr. Fate movie now, or the Justice Society movie. Like, that's the stuff, cool. And Hawkman looks cool. Like, that's the stuff I'm there for. And obviously, it's a superhero thing. I review these things. I would go anyway. But less begrudgingly, having seen what Pierce Brosnan looks like in the role, and he looks committed to me. And I'm not saying that Dwayne Johnson doesn't look committed. I'm saying that Dwayne Johnson wants roles where he can just do the thing he always does. And that's what he's doing here. But the only reason you would have Shazam there, I would think, is if the big twist is Pierce Brosnan or Dr. Fate couldn't convince Black Adam to take the high road. And because he says he sees two futures, and he can either destroy the world or he can save it. And what if he chose the bad thing? And that's why Shazam would show up. Now that we have that kind of background for what the movie's about, or that sort of like clear, what looks like a cookie cutter kind of formula, DJ, that's what I want it to be. I want him to pick the wrong path. Like, that would be bold. That would be different, right? And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that. I don't think there's any reason to expect them to go to allow it to be a tragic, darker, especially when it does seem like it's, like you said, putting in those kind of Marvel jokey scenes to try to appeal to a larger demographic. It would be weird if that was there and they get all the kids in the seats, and then, Black Adam's actually the villain of his own movie. Like, that's what I want it to be.
Yeah, because he's the villain. I don't know if you cast The Rock if you want to do that, though.
Yeah.
But what's the alternative?
The Rock sort of cast himself, really.
Yeah. Sure, he pressured them into the. It's like,
it seems like it.
You don't want to get on the Rock's bad side, so you have to cast him in your movie, or else his fans will just all attack you. That's where we are in Hollywood. But yeah, I mean, what's the alternative? Like, you make him a hero, and then he's just like a hero moving forward in other movies. Like, he just joins like the Justice League.
I assume that they're going to try to kind of play both sides of it, have their cake and eat it too, where you get to the end and he's not really a good guy, but he's not really a bad guy. I expect this to be more or less what the Sony movies think they're doing, like, done a little better.
Yeah, well, someone just said, oh, here it is. It says, Black Adam is going to be DC's Morbius, an anti-villain/hero epic.
Yeah. Except probably quite a bit better than that. Like, I don't mean to say that this movie looks terrible. I can't get real excited about it. I'm at the same place I was before I saw any footage.
Yeah, I don't think it looks bad.
With the same kind of... Well, I say before I saw any footage. We got some footage with Fandom before we got this full trailer, and I was actually... I don't want to say that I was stoked for it, but I found myself more intrigued by it because it really did seem like it might have a more... kind of stylistic comic booky flair than some of the superhero movies in recent years have. And, like, the Snyder movies have that too, but, like, but, a little bit more sober, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, like, it might be really getting away from formula and very much going its own way and doing its own thing. And it's reading more just from this trailer. Maybe this is just how they're trying to sell it. Because as I always say, trailers aren't there to tell you what the movie is. They're there to get you to go see it. But inserting stuff like, the like nerdy guy in a truck who is, trying not to get killed. I'm like, okay, they're at least trying to tell me that it's a more kind of by-the-numbers superhero movie. And then, like I said, if it ends up being that, you're going to really wonder why he wasn't just villain in Shazam in the first place, or why he didn't spin out of that.
Yeah, it's interesting, because that stuff seems totally like I said, the first Thor, or like... I mean, it's like... I was going to say something else, but it's like the guy in the Deadpool cab with him.
Yeah.
The whole time.
I had the Thor thing, too, and was surprised that the movie that I was thinking most about. That and...
Aquaman, that's what I was thinking. It reminds me of Aquaman when they're like traveling around in the desert and like some shenanigans are happening, especially because it's got like a similar visual style and similar locations and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm getting Whedon vibes from it.
Yeah, which is so weird. The way Johnson has been selling it. Well, I mean, the way he's been talking about it, it makes me think that it is absolutely going to go the hero route at the end, because he keeps saying like, I'm different than Superman and Batman because I kill people. And I'm like, yeah, no one's confusing the two. You're a villain, of course. Like, why are you? But he's probably not. He's probably turning into a hero at the end, and that's why he's like drawing that line.
He keeps talking about it like it's going to change the face of the DC universe, you know? And there's already, of course, that confusion of what continuity is this even set in, and like are we going to tie it very much to Shazam? That movie was pretty successful. They're doing a sequel. It would be kind of weird if we didn't make it clear in at least one of those upcoming movies that the other one lives in the same world for sure. I imagine they do. That this won't be just its own like standalone thing. And they're using, it seems like pretty or at least not even with this trailer, but with that footage that we got with Fandom, it seemed like they were trying to make it clear that this is the same iconography. It's connected to Shazam. He's just not going to show up, or ostensibly he's not going to show up. I still think there's like a kind of outside chance that might happen. But I guess I'm just saying that because it's so weird if it doesn't, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he would sign on. This seems like him wanting to get into the big superhero universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would do it if he wasn't like gonna get to be in more movies. Like, I don't think he would do a one and done or even a two and done.
I'm not saying it would necessarily even be that. This could be his franchise, but like it's so connected to Shazam. Like, he says Shazam, he gets his costume on. This has never happened before. This is a counterintuitive, really weird way to set new precedent. But it is.
Yeah, it's like if the second Spider-Man movie was just Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man wasn't in it. Like,
yeah, or if the Venom movie wasn't in a shared Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, but was in a universe that had Spider-Man, but just didn't address him, and Venom shows up and he's got the iconography of Spider-Man, but they never meet.
Yeah, if he actually had the spider, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they will down the road, but here he just shows up. Like, we've had continuities before where you'll have like a couple of characters that are obviously MCU starts off this way, where you have like different characters in the same world where we're not really addressing that much, or there's like little Easter eggs about it, and then eventually they'll cross and we'll go, okay, look, these things are married. But it's way different and way weirder. Like, you can do that with something like, and they didn't do this, but you could do that with something like Batman and Superman, right? But it's really strange if you have two characters that both get their powers from the same source, and they're not connected in any way in their films. So, like, I imagine that they eventually will be. But back to what I was going to mention a minute ago, Dwayne Johnson keeps talking about this like it's really breaking the mold. Like, it's going to tell a comic book story and based on that material and a superhero thing differently than it's ever been done before. And my prediction is it will be exactly like we've seen it before, except just done a little bit better than some of the crappy things that have been doing this kind of thing lately.
Yeah, I mean, how many has he? Does he watch all of them? You kind of have to watch most of them to say that it's nothing like we've ever seen before, especially lately. We've done so many anti-hero
I don't think you'd make that statement if you watched all of them.
It's true.
And the way he's been talking about it, it seems a little bit out of touch. Like, Draven G in the comments there says The Rock just first started talks to play Black Adam back in 2007, and he's talking about it like it's still 2007.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, he's saying things like, I want to punch Superman in the face. Like, we've done that. We've done a bazillion crossovers. Like, no one's clamoring to watch Black Adam fight
And we
Superman.
also don't even really have a Superman right now.
That's true.
Anyway, so the other part of today's lead-in topic is that the Joker sequel is finally definitely happening. We have confirmation that this is official now. I'll go ahead and put up an article about this. This is from Deadline. Joker sequel ago, Todd Phillips posts script cover. Joaquin Phoenix nearing deal to reprise Arthur Fleck. So he has not signed on yet, but it would be shocking if that didn't end up happening. I wouldn't think that you would greenlight a movie unless you had a pretty good sense that he would be doing the thing. So that's all just kind of, technical stuff. He's apparently already read the script and seems happy with it. So it's just a matter of getting the price right. And I'm sure after that first movie, which cost about $19 to make and made about $6 gazillion, they'll probably pay him within reason pretty much what he wants. I predict that this movie will cost a lot more, but you won't see that on screen. It will just all go to Joaquin Phoenix. But yeah, so they've got a title now, and it is Folie à Deux, and it seems like that title is there to say, nobody panic, it's not still too much of a comic book movie. And I think that's really smart business, where they're going out of their way to say, we haven't lost integrity on this, and we'll see if they have. We'll see what this looks like, because a lot of people are saying, well, of course they're making a sequel, it made so much money, and the folks making the film are countering that by going, we didn't want to make another movie unless we had the right story, and it was like with the first movie, where it's still this smaller thing, and is because we have a story to tell, and we're going to this material, but we don't really care about making comic book movies. We want to make movies based on this material. There's a distinction that they're making there, and so we'll see if that ends up working out. But I think it's also important to note, to their credit, that the movie was not greenlit immediately after the success of that last movie. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years now, before we even get confirmation that this is happening. So that kind of screams integrity to me. You'd think that, like, Warner Brothers was in such desperate place at the beginning of the DCEU, when things weren't going the way they expected them to, that if something hit fire, they would immediately freak out and go, we better hurry up and make the next next installment of this. And exactly as they would go, this isn't going well, we better shut it down and move some other direction right away. And they would, they were very reactionary to everything, and so this seems a lot more like the way they ought to be doing business if they're going to make a sequel to this movie. So, DJ, how do you feel about their making another one of these? Like for sure now. Like, what are your reservations? Do you think it warrants a sequel? Do you think that first movie is better without a sequel, no matter what the sequel is? Like, where do you land on all that?
I have no idea, because I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, I thought you did.
I have not.
Oh, I thought. I don't know why I thought because I know you weren't real interested in it, but I thought you finally pulled the trigger on it. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, no. I didn't have any interest, and then
that's totally fair. It's not for everybody. It's one of the things I like about it.
It came and went, and there's like really no reason to watch it now. No one's talking about it. Well, I guess there's a reason now. There's a sequel coming out, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from what I know, just behind the scenes stuff, I'm more interested in it because he waited so long until it seems like he had a script that he really liked and he wanted to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's encouraging. It doesn't sound like they're shoving it out. It's not like it was just a 2-year turnaround. So.
Yeah, we keep saying those people. Todd Phillips, of course, directed that first movie, and he wrote the script for the sequel with Scott Silver, and I guess the assumption is that he's definitely directing this, but I'm not seeing that for sure. Director Todd Phillips, I'm reading from this Deadline article, revealed on Instagram that there's a Joker sequel script. So I guess this article saying director means director of this movie. I guess we can assume that he's directing this and not just co-writing it.
Yeah, and if they just have the script, I mean, this probably isn't coming out for 2 more years at the earliest, so that's good.
Yeah, I would think so. That's
really refreshing, man. Like a superhero movie that gets a sequel 5-6 years later. When does that happen?
Still, with all the multiverse stuff going on, no talk about Joaquin Phoenix Joker suddenly showing up in the Flash movie or some other DCEU thing that's going to go multiverse. And I'm still hoping that they don't feel the need to do all of that. But anyway, the title, according to this, because I had not heard this before, is references a French term, which is a medical thing pertaining to a mental disorder which affects 2 or more people. And that's got a lot of people saying that it's probably Harley Quinn.
I brought the wrong cup today, guys. Spider-Man cup.
I don't think it necessarily means that. I could see doing various things with that. I don't know. Maybe it's a Joker movie with Two-Face in it, but probably not. That's probably not what they're doing.
That would be
I'm sure it's his condition affecting somebody else as well. So does that mean that
it's a really cool title? I didn't know what that meant.
It's a neat title. Does that mean, and it might read a little pretentious, but I think pretentious in the right way. You know what I mean? Where it says, like, don't worry, we didn't suddenly just become another DCEU movie. That's smart. Like, even if it does read pretentious to people, it tells them what it is, or at least what they want you to think it is. But what I wonder is if that means that Harley Quinn or whoever this other character or characters are that have the same condition he has, like, is he going to go find a girl who also has this very rare condition where she's laughing uncontrollably, and then has, like, the same, like, mental issues he has, or is it just going to be the mental disorder? Because that could read really easy, and it also could read kind of crass. You know what I mean? If the universe plays it like everybody who has this like nervous, laughing, uncontrollable thing that he has ends up turning into a psychopath that murders people. That could be unfortunate. I'm gonna assume that's not what they're doing, but I don't know. I just had that thought.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what they do, because I mean, like, and I haven't seen that movie, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but, like, there's no superheroes in that universe, I think I can safely assume. So, like,
not yet.
What does he need a sidekick for? Is it just more of the relationship part? Is it just gonna, if it's like if it's just exploring the relationship of a psychopath and how it's like like an abusive relationship, and how he's like he like drags her down with him or something? Because I don't think it's not going to be like a traditional sidekick where she's running around doing crimes with. Maybe, I don't know.
No, and, like, I could certainly I would assume that if it is her, they'll do the psychiatrist thing, of course, and that can be tricky to make that all work in a single film. But you've not seen that movie, but if the only way I could see the sidekick thing making sense is if the idea is he inspired a kind of, like, criminal revolution, mm-hmm. and he ends up deciding to try to take charge and become the head of it, where, like, he's running this revolution. He does, like almost like a Bane kind of thing from, like, Rises, and then Harley Quinn is his right-hand person in doing that, and then what would the opposition be? I wonder how big they'll take this movie, because I could see it being huge, and, like, initially my response to that would be, oh boy, that's scary, I don't know if you should do that, but maybe it could work. I like not having a real clear sense of where more of that movie would go. But I also wonder if they'll try to steer him into more of the criminal mastermind direction, because that was a lot of people's complaints about the first movie with it being based on that material is, well, it wouldn't be any fun to see this Joker go up against Batman. And my response to that is, as long as they don't try to do that, I guess I don't care. Where, like, this is its own world, and yeah, you have a Bruce Wayne, and he's, like, 12, and they're, unless they do a time jump, they're not going to have him go up against Batman. I could also see them doing a time jump. There's a lot of things they could do.
Yeah, I think they will probably let quite a bit of time passed, because quite a bit of time has passed.
Yeah, good point.
They might just add a few years to that.
But you've seen that done both ways with movies, right? Where it's like we don't get the new movie out for 6 years, but then we play it like the next movie is seconds after the first movie. Like that's been done.
Incredibles 2, I should have watched the trailer for, because that really took me out when I watched it, because I was like, oh, it's happening right after, but the voice actors sound like they're 60 or 70. I was like, oh, this is weird.
But then, and of course, in animation, it's maybe easier to get away with that. It wasn't for DJ, but usually it's kind of easier to get away with that. And then you've seen it the other way, of course, where we've got to be in real time. And this being a period thing, I could see them doing the X-Men thing where they go, well, the first movie was like 1981, 1982. Maybe it'd be fun to jump it 10 years and get to the early 90s. Maybe they'll pick a different influences this time, and like I'm not sure, I don't know what. Maybe they'll go, this time it's a Tarantino movie, and then that'll be the influence, and it'll feel more like a edgy early still indie but 1990s kind of movie, in the way that this was like a edgy indie late 70s early 80s movie.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't know if they'll go to Scorsese again. Like, they might go to some other director and or writer or filmmaker, and then you got to wonder if they'll go as derivative as the first movie did, or if this will feel unlike anything else. So yeah, there's so many questions, and I'm not against this on the face of it. I mean, I'm with DJ when he said it's nice that they've waited this long. It seems like maybe they're like, it sounds like some care was taken to like really get a story together, and it's great that Warner's let them take their time. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that, but we'll see where it goes. I'm very intrigued. I'm with zero idea what the story is, no footage whatsoever. My interest in that project is here, and my interest in Black Adam is somewhere around like here.
You look like Ross.
Why can't Black Adam just be Justice Society?
Well,
doesn't that immediately sound like a thing that would get you, that would get a lot more people interested? Like, don't you see the dollar amount for? I mean, don't you see the take in the theater as like at least $100 million more if it's called Justice Society over Black Adam? Maybe not, but
yeah. Well, it seems like it's gonna be like it's gonna be that anyway. It's just a different name. It's like it's so funny how it's the exact opposite of the Wolverine problem that we always have, right? It's like, why can't we just have a Wolverine movie? Why are you putting all of his pals in here? But then with Black Adam, we're like, yeah, we don't want a Black Adam movie. Just make a Justice Society movie. You're putting them all in there anyway.
Yeah, well, and you and I both complain about this a lot, where we don't make singular character movies anymore. They're all team things. Black Widow was a team movie, and like everything's a team movie.
It's always it's like the grass is always greener, right? Like,
remember when we sat down and we tried to come up with, in the last decade, the superhero movies that had like one name in the title but didn't turn into a team movie, and all we could come up with was like kind of Aquaman and then Shazam. Then we went, well, but then at the end of Shazam, kind of there too. Like,
I remember that, yeah. But it's funny because it's like we get Wolverine, but it's actually like a ton of other X-Men in there, and then
decade. That's not wholly true. I know people are going to start listing things, but in the last several, it feels that way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But then it goes the other way, where we get a team movie, Birds of Prey, but it's actually just a Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah.
It's like, just give us what you promise. Stop.
Why can't you advertise what the thing is?
Come up with a good title.
And I don't mean to go back just because you brought it up and start complaining and ranting about this again. But specifically with Birds of Prey, what made you think that title would get more butts in the seats than Harley Quinn? Nobody but me knows what that is. Like, and you made it not for me. It doesn't make any sense.
You could have absolutely just called that movie Harley Quinn, and it would have done just as well. I don't know what they were.
And like the whole team dynamic was completely pointless and unnecessary. They don't come together until the last 20 minutes of the movie. They barely count as the supporting cast, a lot of them.
Yeah, well, it seems like you would make that movie and then make the next movie called Birds of Prey.
But anyway, We both digress. Okay, let's start getting into questions, guys. You can ask us about the lead-in topics or anything else you want to talk about. And if DJ sees any questions front-loaded about the DC movies coming out, I imagine he will throw those at us first. But as always, he is the quarterback. I'm gonna mix my sports metaphors. DJ is the quarterback, and the ball is in his court. Go ahead, DJ.
Oh wow. Well, that confused me. But it looks like
he's my. Was I supposed to say point guard? I meant point guard. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll be the point back. It's okay. Ben Script Super $9.99.
Hi there.
Chat,
thanks so much. What's up?
About the Joker. The other person could refer to the people of Gotham. Thanks for the show.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it could be a wholly thematic thing, building on the final scenes of that movie and all of the kind of urban upheaval and the society that is unhappy with the haves and the have-nots situation, and seeing Joker as unfortunately the inspiration that Batman might be if only he wasn't 12. That's a good notion. That might be what they're doing. I will be surprised if it's not more of like a double entendre title. Like it could be that and a Harley Quinn or something at the same time. What if I called it and it is Harvey Dent?
Well, then we would have 2 films with Joker and Two-Face in them, and then 1 film where the actor playing Two-Face thinks he's playing Joker.
It took me like 2 seconds to figure that out, and I was like, in what way did the guy from Dark Knight think he was playing the Joker? I don't understand. And then I understood. I'm not gonna explain it because it would take away that experience for everyone else. Oh, hey, real quick before we move on, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Tonight after the show, I'm going to be doing a new Captain Logan After Dark. I'm a couple weeks late on it, so we're finally going to have another one of those. Brandon and Austin are going to be with me, and we're going to do a commentary tonight, way a blind commentary. We're going to be doing a commentary on the first Iron Man movie, but we're going to listen to the descriptive audio, because we've been talking about this and making fun of it for weeks, and I want to finally do something on it on After Dark, and maybe eventually we'll do this with another movie on the main channel. But descriptive audio is hilarious. It's so much fun to listen to. I've not yet sat through a whole movie yet with it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, a lot of the streaming services have it now for most of their movies. And it's a voice that, in case you want to see a movie but you're blind or you can't look at it for some reason, and you can hear, there's a voice that will basically turn it into like a book on tape and will explain everything you're seeing in excruciating detail. That's why it's so funny, and including like the logos at the beginning of the movie, like the Universal logo comes up, and there was a movie I saw part of this for it. It was like, and it was like letters of silver and gold, and that's why Austin can't stop saying silver and gold now. Anyway, so it's really amusing. We want to see if it remains amusing for a full 2 hours, and we're going to do that tonight over on After Dark. So $2 tier on Patreon is how you get access to that. You can watch it with us live. You can stay up late with us somewhere around 10 o'clock Central, a little after that, after the show is when we'll start that. And then you can also watch it after the fact, of course. It will be recorded and remain in patrons' feeds on Patreon. And also, in case you haven't gotten the memo for this yet, I recently expanded on the $10 tier for Patreon producers. We have a Discord now exclusively for Superhero Rewind. Producers are real producers. They get to do a lot to help me out with the show now. Those guys have already been very active and told me some things about the next movie I'm doing this coming Sunday. I'm going to be doing a re-review on Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man film, and we've been having some discourse about that. Those guys get to vote in the Superhero Rewind selection board to help me choose some of the movies, and they get their names read at the end of every show, and I'm going to be meeting with them once a month to talk about superhero movies in person, on camera, and to maybe even sometimes watch movies with private watch parties. So lots lots of cool stuff that you get there. Consider signing up if you like that show, and if you want to be more involved with what we do here on Geekvolution. I'm trying to stick to weekly on that and put out a podcast every week on superhero movies, best as humanly possible. I'm going to be out of town all next week, and DJ, I'm still trying to get a show prepared for next week. It won't be a review because I won't have time to watch a movie and take notes, but I have a different idea for a discussion video that I'm going to try to put together for that. It's going to be a lot of fun if it works out. I'll announce that soon. But if you were a Superhero Rewind producer, you would already know about it, and you would already be helping me figure out how that show is going to work. So anyway,
cool.
Consider doing that, and in the meantime, let's get back to this show. Tonight's show is sponsored by me. Okay, go ahead, DJ.
All right, Super Billy, $5. Hope the next Joker film is more of a spiritual successor than a direct sequel. Phillips will likely direct it after completing this Hulk Hogan biopic.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Okay. I didn't realize he was the one doing that, though. Interesting. I don't know what you mean by spiritual successor. Like, are you wanting them to make yet another origin story for the Joker that's played by some other person, but not Joaquin Phoenix? Like, it would have to be... I'm splitting hairs when you say spiritual. I see what you're saying. Like, it could be, like, another story about that character set later, but isn't... directly, like, what's the aftermath of the events of that? But, I mean, any way you slice that, that's still a direct sequel, even if it happens years later and gives us all of that in backstory. But yeah. When you said spiritual, I had this kind of amusing thought where, like, they're gonna do like the series of anthology movies where every one of them is the Joker, but it's some different version of the Joker, and all of them are real art housey and made with $15.
That would be the one DC character, of course, we would do that with. Is the one that's been in so many movies. He needs his own anthology series.
It becomes hilariously what the Halloween movies originally were supposed to be, where just every movie is a completely different story, and not necessarily about Michael Myers. That's a different person. I always wanted somebody to make a parody of Halloween where it was Mike Myers.
He's already a parody of a character.
Well, that's true. What's stopping it?
All right.
No, it wouldn't be the actor. It'd be somebody else being Mike Myers. That's why it would be funny.
Gotcha. Super Billy, $2. Obvious Joker 2 title would be The Clown Prince.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go with the obvious title. And I also wonder I meant to say this earlier, how much it's going to actually look at source material. Because the first movie wasn't super interested in that. There's a little bit of stuff here and there, of course. You've got a Thomas Wayne, you have a Bruce Wayne that's there for 6 seconds. It's set in Gotham, like... They did the bare minimum to be able to put DC's logo on it, and it's, based on the idea of that character, but it's totally its own thing. And again, that's kind of what I like about it. Like, I was weirdly won over by that. There's a part of me that wants, I don't know, I'm of two minds about it. Like, there's a part of me that wants to see how that world, now that they've decided to make more, would do more with some actual comic book source material. And then there's another part of me that sort of wants them to avoid it and just do their own thing, more or less like they did the first time. Maybe they have, like, that one element, like they did with Thomas Wayne. And maybe that one element is Harley Quinn. And they just go, okay, we're going to intentionally not look at source material. Here's what we know about that character. She is the sidekick of the Joker, and she used to be his psychiatrist. Go. And there are so many different versions of Harley Quinn that, just like there are so many different versions of Joker, that there's actually... That's actually not a bad way to go, where you intentionally don't look too much at source material. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I complain a lot about things that don't do their homework and then deliver something a lot less interesting than what was on the comic book page, because they don't care about... They're not actually excited about the material. It's just something that has brand recognition that they knew they could sell and they had the rights to, and then... they tell a really cookie-cutter story pretending like it's for those people. That's not what Joker was. Joker doesn't pretend like it's for Batman fans. It doesn't pretend like it's the definitive version of that character. It goes, well, here's the DC logo, because that's who has the rights to this, and Warner Brothers is making it, and it's called Joker. Everything else after that is fair game, and I always had a lot of respect for them. That's how they handled it.
That movie totally proves that some people always will, but a lot of us don't care so much that you stick so close to source material. What we're mad at is when you don't, and then you make a crappy movie. Like, if you make
and
a
you
good
pretend
movie,
like it is.
yeah, if you make a good movie and you just had to use IP to get it made, that's fine.
And Joker's one of the best
I'll
things to
watch
do
it.
that with, because we have a bunch of different versions of them, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and all of them crib different things from source material. And so you go, hey, what if you took this basic concept and you made it completely your own? Except, you know, it's maybe a little bit too derivative of some other movies instead of being derivative of the comic book stuff, but...
Yeah.
It was interesting and enjoyable. I kind of didn't even mind that all that. I probably would have had I not known those movies in the first place. I still have never seen Taxi Driver. I started it one night, and for some reason I got distracted with something and had to quit. I still haven't finished that, so I need to go back and watch that movie. But I did watch King of Comedy and really liked it. I don't know if you've ever seen that, DJ. That's a wonderful film. And Scorsese's King of Comedy. And yeah, I get why people were sort of perturbed that Joker was... They felt like Joker was just that movie again. It is and it isn't. Like, it's not telling exactly the same story, but there's a lot of beats that are the same, and it looks a lot like that movie, and so, like, yeah, I get why people complained about it. But I don't know how much that would affect... But I haven't gone back to it since the theater. I saw it twice in the theater, and I own it. I haven't put it in again. So now that I've seen King of Comedy, I wonder how that would affect my enjoyment of it on another viewing, because I haven't bothered with it, and it's been a year since I saw King of Comedy too, I think. So
yeah, it all depends on how well seen. What's the visual version of well read? Well seen.
I have spent 13 years trying to decide how to say that. You'll hear me a lot say well watched.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
It all depends
but
on
that's
how well watched.
that's a Captain Logan coining, man. That's not like modern, verbiage. I don't hear people saying that all the time.
Yeah, because you hadn't seen Ghost in the Shell before you saw Matrix, but you had seen Matrix so many times by the time you finally saw Ghost in the Shell that you still loved the Matrix.
It couldn't ruin it, yeah. And it's not exactly the same thing. It's just clear that they ripped off a lot of stuff from Ghost in the Shell. But
yeah,
like, if it told beat for beat the same story, I'd probably feel a little bit differently about it.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes. But
yeah.
But we all...
And Joker is closer to that, certainly, the beat for beat story thing than Ghost in the Shell, but and Matrix, but yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got some about Black Adam here. Okay, so one more about Joker 2. Super Billy, $5. I'd describe the first Joker film as being heavily inspired by Scorsese's work as opposed to derivative. Childishly ranted about this to Cap already. Wow, he's self-deprecating.
Okay, yeah, and he got that in probably before I just talked about it, but
yeah. So a lot of people. I mean, yeah.
There's an argument. There's certainly an argument for it. Like, I didn't feel like, and again, it's kind of not fair because I saw it before I saw either of those other Scorsese movies, so I didn't have a dog in that fight. But after I saw King of Comedy, I went, okay, I see what people are saying, but it didn't. Again, it didn't kill it for me or anything. But I do see the arguments on both sides, and that's why I don't know exactly where to land. Where there's kind of a line between homage and just stealing or doing the same thing again. I think they could have been more careful about it, where like maybe it didn't have to look so much like a Scorsese movie. Maybe it didn't have to be set in the exact same time period. Like, all of those elements combined, I think, is what rubbed some people, particularly Scorsese fans, the wrong way. But we also don't know the behind the scenes to all that either, because Scorsese was at one time thought to be more involved in that project than he ended up being too. So there's that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as the Stranger Things thing, where, like, is Stranger Things just ripping off all of Steven Spielberg and Stephen King stuff from the 80s, or is it just homage? Is it doing enough of its own thing? Everyone's calling Stephen King movies ripoffs of Stranger Things, which is
that's weird.
We can't get Stephen King movies made now because they all feel like ripoffs of that stuff.
Yeah, and this is a thing we've talked about a million times, but of course, authors and directors are always going to, artists in general, are always going to try to build on the things they love, and that's how you move art forward. That's how you move culture forward. But it is a fine line, because it's not fair to... There are places where I think it's pretty clear when somebody is just ripping off a thing and not adding any of themselves or anything new, and where it's plateau, or it's just copy paste before it's trying to actually move art forward. So I never want to make that argument to say anything that reminds you, like, I don't want to go too far the other way, anything that reminds you of something you've seen before now is it's fine. There's no such thing as something being ripped off. That ain't true either. There absolutely is.
Yeah. I'm actually going to jump back to the beginning, because we keep getting more about the topics, and I don't want the people to think that I'm forgetting about them. So I'm going to jump back to John Ties.
And if they think that, they'll let you know.
Yeah. So we got 3 from the beginning. John Tie, $5. If reality...
Thanks, everybody, by the way, for participating and for supporting the channel. If you're doing that, go ahead.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of good questions coming in. If reality is stranger than fiction, then does that mean bad fiction isn't as strange as reality?
Man, he always asks these kind of warpy, heady questions designed to make your brain explode, and then I have to read them again. Okay, or it's even worse. I have to have my reading guy read them again. DJ, read it for me one more time, would you, sir?
We'll accept questions at reading guy.
Reading guy? Yep, that's the other one.
If reality is stranger than fiction,
yeah,
then does that mean bad fiction isn't as strange as reality?
Okay. I guess I'm not understanding what the assessment of the quality of it has to do with anything.
Cap doesn't understand the assignment.
I don't. I don't. And of course, obviously, the whole stranger than fiction idea is not an absolute. The idea is that there are some things that you'll see where you'll be like, I can't believe that actually happened. That's stranger than fiction. I don't think, obviously reality always is, or even necessarily on the whole is stranger than fiction. You kind of gotta, like I say with everything, you gotta look at case by case. You gotta go, here's a fiction that's weird, and here's a reality that's weird. Which is weirder than the other? But that bad fiction... Say that last part again.
Bad fiction isn't as strange as reality. But the question makes it seem like the goal of fiction is to be stranger, or the goal of reality is to be stranger than fiction. And if they're not hitting that, then it's bad.
Then it's bad, yeah.
That's what it makes it seem like.
Yeah, this idea that if there's a popular figure of speech, we have to all come together and make sure that it's valid. No, it's a fun question. I can't wrap my mind around it entirely. I'm stuck on the bad fiction part.
Can we accept people in the chat trying to explain it to us? Chewbacca's lover says he's obviously talking about things people say are bad writing but can't happen in real life.
Oh, I see. Okay. When he said because it's difficult in the super chat not to make things kind of vague. And when he said bad fiction, I just wasn't getting what he was getting at. He means, because if I were, and I don't mean to criticize his super chat, but if I were writing that question, I wouldn't have said bad fiction. I would have said unbelievable fiction, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that.
You've stumped us. You've stumped the captain. Congratulations. Pick up your stuffed animal on the way out.
We're going to send you a cookie in the mail, yeah. Yeah, so, like, I really want to try to wrap my head around this. So you're saying, like fiction that is... Where you read it, you go, I don't buy this. It's not effective. Like, I would have also said maybe ineffective fiction, right? It's... Like I don't buy this in the same way I might not buy a thing that I'm learning actually is true but didn't really seem true. I don't know how to answer this except to just kind of go over what I've said about that whole thing in the past.
You can make anything work. You just got to make it work. You ever heard that one before, guys?
Yeah, I've never said that. But no, just the notion that if that I don't think it's fair to play the card, well, this thing that was in this fiction that you say isn't working, I know for sure this has happened in real life, and therefore it makes it effective. That's not how that works. It's all case by case. I have to buy that within the reality of the fiction and the way it's presented, that is really happening now. But I don't know how that applies to the question.
That is it. Take that for what you will. Senior Sticks.
I'm gonna look closer at it while we're talking.
Senior Sticks gives us $2, and I believe he was talking about Black Adam when this came in, because this was the very, very beginning.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. We never get to these right as they come out.
He said, is this set in the future, past, or present?
I assume it's not a period piece. But I guess I don't know that for sure.
I guess we don't know. He could, because he doesn't age, right? So he could still be in a Shazam thing later if he was, but this could be like a...
They're not... If it was a period piece, you'd think that they were... And even a thing that takes place 10 or 20 years ago, you'd think that they would be making... Kind of like Captain Marvel, a big deal out of that in the trailer. You know, the Captain Marvel trailer opened with she lands into a blockbuster for the stake of nostalgia feels. So and also just to establish the time period.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's cars and everything, so it's obviously not like too far in the past, even if it was.
No, I think... Sorry, going back to that other one, just I'm looking closer at it. I think bad fiction can still be as strange as the strangest of reality because, like, whether it's bad or not, the ideas can still be out there. Sometimes that's the problem, right? It's like, here's an idea that's super out there, but you didn't make me believe it was actually there. I don't think the quality of it really has anything to do with how strange it is, I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Anyway.
I mean, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, plenty strange.
I found that question very difficult to answer. Go ahead.
That'd be a movie to watch with descriptive audio on. Logan Dodd, $4.99. Given the latest Ezra Miller scandal, is it enough to make you not watch The Flash?
I have never been one for it, and again, I know my answer to everything is it depends and case by case. DJ, I don't think I've run into the thing yet where I've decided to dismiss a thing out of hand or boycott it because of people involved or things they've done. I can't remember a time I've ever done that. Where like I feel like I can condemn. I feel like I can separate this where it's sort of like the way I separate art from the author, right? Where I can like condemn actions a person takes and say I don't want to support that person, or that, you know, I don't support the things they do, but at the same time, I still don't feel like I'm committing a sin or a crime or anything by ever looking at something they did, right? Because I can't be consistent with it. It's impossible. You know what I mean? We all still consume things that somebody has made that it turns out did something heinous, whether we realize it or not. And or at least I'm sure a lot of us do that. And we all reap the benefits daily of horrible things people have done in the past that progressed technology and culture, et cetera, et cetera. It's like I can't begin to be consistent about that, and so I'm not going to necessarily not see the Flash movie because this guy seems like bad news. It makes me if I had any excitement for that movie at all, it certainly makes me a lot less interested, just because that guy seems kind of awful, and I can't get excited about looking at him on screen for 2 hours, but I also didn't really care for his performance. So, I mean, I can't say that I can fully separate it, but I also feel like I can separate it enough that I don't know how to let that make my call for me about whether or not I'm going to see a thing. Where do you land on that with things, DJ? Like, if you, let me do the extreme thing, and let's not make it Ezra Miller, but let's just say X actor that, whether you like them or not, just whoever, right? X actor is in a superhero movie that you had planned on going to. And they committed and were committed murder and were put on trial and put in prison for it. Somehow, all before the movie comes out. Like, you know for sure they did it. So, Desert Island, impossible scenario, right? Would you still go to the movie? Like, would you feel too much like you're condoning murder if you went to see that film?
I think it is much harder to. It's much harder with the medium of film than it would be, like, if they were a musical artist, where they're writing, singing, producing. You're basically only supporting them. But if it's a
What a
film,
good
like,
point.
so many people are involved in the making of that film, he's not. I mean, unless it's like a Stallone picture where he's writing, directing, and acting. But I mean, this is not that. He's one piece of a whole bunch of people's vision, and I don't feel right. Like, just, I mean, I also don't give anyone grief if they decide not to watch it. That's their prerogative. But, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel like.
No, I see why it's a difficult call.
It's not like I'm sticking it to him. Like, he's going to get the paycheck that he was promised. It's not like he gets all the money that goes from tickets.
But the argument on the other side would be, if we support things like this with our money, then in the future, companies will continue to like support and hire bad news people. Like that. I guess that's the argument for not supporting it.
But the studio didn't hire him. He's been doing this all lately. Like, he's been on board for years and years. WB can't catch a break, man.
But some people think it's wrong of them to even put the movie out at this point, and I think that's going too far, maybe. Like, it's so far, and like you said, there's a lot of other people's, livelihoods on the line. Like look at other.
There's all those contracts for those people to get, like, residuals and stuff like that. It's kind of wrong to not put the movie out and put all those people out of money.
Yeah, that was such a terrific point you made. And like, I think comic creators can be like this sometimes too. You know, if somebody like wrote and drew their own book and it got, super huge, sold 1 million copies, and then a year later you found out he was a wife beater, it would be really easy for all of us to quit buying the guy's book, right?
Yeah, that's easy.
It'd be a lot easier. And again, I still wouldn't condemn a person that chose to for their own reasons, I think. But maybe that's a little bit harder to condone. I don't know. But anyway, I was going to bring up, other, like, famous people who have committed, like, heinous acts, or allegedly have, and who, like, the whole world turns against, but then it affects other people's livelihoods or affects other people's reputations and stuff. Like, how fair is it to Felicia Rashad and the rest of the cast of The Cosby Show that show can't be seen on TV anymore? You know what I mean? And that, like, there's a lot of people that think that you're a horrible person if you were to take the disc out that you own for that show and put it in your player. But then at the same time, like, it's not fair for all those people. And that show was still in syndication, and a lot of people were watching it, and it was a good thing to raise your kids on. And now it's this real taboo thing that, like, one of the most wholesome shows. And, like, it's like if this had happened to like Full House or something. Like, imagine that. And except I think that the show had, better lessons for children and stuff than that. And but then at the same time, I get why networks would choose not to show it, and how difficult it would be for people to, like, look at that guy and try to in the same way you did before, and I brought this up before, but I just want to mention that because that's such a terrific point, that there's other people involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then also just on a selfish note, for just myself and what I do and I guess my own livelihood, I'm gonna see The Flash because people are gonna want me to talk about The Flash. Like it's not a question for me because, like, I feel like I'm obligated. I have to talk about that. That's gonna be a huge superhero movie, however it goes. Like, even if it doesn't perform, it's the next chapter of the crazy town world we live in with superhero movies. Curiosity, if nothing else, but also other people's curiosity. Folks are, want to know what I have to say, which is really neat. And so I will watch that movie regardless of whether I want to, and tell you what I think about it. If people were clamoring for me to review DC Super Pets, I would begrudgingly go to that too. Not one person has asked me to, so I think I might get away with skipping that. Even though I never skip superhero movies, that one I really don't want to have to sit through. That's also Dwayne Johnson too, by the by. But anyway, but I digress.
Another role that he probably describes as something you've never ever seen in a superhero film before.
That's a question that would be easier to answer, maybe, if I didn't do this. But anyway.
Yeah. All right, where are we going next? We are going to Super Billy, $5. Black Adam looks like a more visually pleasing Green Lantern. 2011.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. But
Doesn't bode
I can see
well.
that too.
He says, doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
And yes, the anthology approach is more what I'd want for Joker.
Yeah, that's not what they're doing. There's no way that's what they're doing. That would be really interesting, though.
Joker 1984. Except that they didn't really do an anthology thing there. Right,
well, and that would be weird because it would take place 3 years after the first movie, but not be in the same universe. And that first movie could have almost been called that. I still don't see
I can
how.
see why he's connecting that.
I still don't see how those poor people owned a VCR in 1981. There's no way. Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about how he connected it to Green Lantern. I could see that.
They're making this movie about classism and 1% and haves and have-nots, and their extremely poor man and his elderly mother own a $1,000 VCR in 1981. Now, that's stranger than fiction. But that is fiction. It's just straight up fiction. Somebody gave it to them as a present. Okay. They've got a rich uncle that gives them VCRs. Anyway, moving right along.
Chewbacca's lover says at the welder, I'm asking him to see Super Pets. Tell him I'm asking him. So, we've got one person clamoring for you to see it.
Oh. Please nobody else say that.
All right, we don't do it for just one. Sorry,
I got to get rid of bots here.
Someone in the chat. He's getting rid of bots, people. He's getting rid of bots. I'll go ahead and read the next one. Bob the Hun. The sequel, speaking of Joker, will...
Super really says, League of Super Pets looks to be more heinous than anything Ezra Miller is alleged to have done. All right, moving right along.
Bob the Hun sequel will be about a codependent relationship. Two self-destructive people who are bad for each other but are in love. Arthur isn't abusive.
Is that a guess, or do we know more about what's in that script than the article I read purports?
Bob the Hun has the inside scoop.
He was there.
I was there when Joker 2 was written. No, that's interesting. That's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking when I said that earlier. Sorry, I said the word abusive.
DJ, we're at the 1 hour mark. How many super chats do we have left?
We have tres.
I wish it was Dua.
Could have made that work. Tied it in.
Yeah, that'd be great. You should be like, shh, Cap, you gotta answer one more before I tell you how many super chats there are.
Oh, Bob the Hun is also asking to review Super Pets. So you at least got two. Teams forming.
No. What is the magic number? I'm not going to tell you what it is. And they're only doing that because I had to be an idiot and say it. No, you guys had your chance. You had to say this before I came out and said I'm skipping that movie. No, Connor. Connor says he just changed his plans. He's coming to me in July for a weekend. Do I want to see League of Super Pets? No. We can do anything else. Absolutely anything else you want to do, Connor. I will jump onto a bicycle with the seat missing, but I will not go see that movie unless enough people tell me I have to.
Yeah, watch it be like the Maverick thing, where everyone in the world just tells you Super Pets is the best movie of all time.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see if I go to that or when I eventually see that and it turns out to be terrible. I don't think it's going to. I mean, unanimously, everybody I've heard talk about Maverick, and I think we have a super chat about that.
Yeah, we do. It is the next one.
Well, what a segue. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I've heard like literally I've heard people that say the first one's just lame and generic and not great. That think the second one's the best thing ever, which is amazing that won over people that didn't like the first one.
I think it was maybe last week's Captain Logan show. I forget. We stream almost every day now. But somebody in the comments in a live show said that, pardon me, they liked it better than Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is the best movie I've seen this year and one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, it's going to be nuts if I somehow have that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's read the super chat.
Connor Nielsen says, "Woohoo! Thor: Love and Thunder it is then."
That won't be out yet. Oh, wait, will it? I think I am going to rename him to Connor Nuisance.
I almost said that.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Logan.
Thanks, Connor. Love you, buddy.
I'm definitely not forgetting that. You need to see
Maverick. Don't forget Connor Nuisance, because he will do things to deserve being called that. You just watch. All right, go ahead.
Logan Dodd, you need to see Maverick so you can see a film by the right crew for a proper Superman movie.
I mean, that's the best endorsement I've heard for it, and I've heard a lot of good ones. But we need more stuff like that. Yeah. So that makes it sound like it's hopeful in the right ways and kind of stuff we've been missing, and maybe not horribly sappy about it. That's my hope. But yeah, I can't go yet is the problem. I will try to talk about it on the channel when it comes to streaming or video. When I see it, because people are wanting me to see it. Connor loves his new name, but here's the reason I can't.
I'm hearing that is like the most theater, like the most you need to see a movie in a theater in like the longest time.
Okay,
that's a theater
here's the
movie.
thing. I've heard enough of that. I will have a conversation with my wife, but I'm not gonna feel good about it because here's the thing. And Sarah wasn't even excited about that movie until she found out that the whole universe is praising it like it's Dark Knight or something.
Oh, hey, Cap, apparently this movie's the second coming of Christ. Maybe we should go see it.
I think maybe we should go see it. So Sarah and I just don't have any way to get to a theater together right now with the girls still as young as they are. Our twins are almost 11 months old, so I mean they're a little bigger, but we don't have a babysitter to take care of two babies. And we've just been tag team and stuff, so I go to the theater for stuff for the channel, and I'll take Jason or Freddie sometimes, but that's about it. And Sarah's not a big theater goer anyway. She really doesn't care about how large she sees things. And Sarah is one of these people that doesn't care at all about like film quality and that kind of thing. And she'll watch like the grainiest old VHS tape, and you'll be like, oh God, I can tell you where to watch that for free in 1080p. What are you doing? You know what I mean? So she's not going to care about that. You'll think she would if you've seen that movie and it seems really theater worthy. She doesn't have that thing. But I still don't feel right, because Top Gun is one of Sarah's favorite movies, and I don't feel right getting to see that before her in any format. So if people think I really need to talk about it on the camera, I gotta talk on the camera. If I need to talk about it on the channel,
this is a camera-worthy movie, guys. I'm not gonna use the webcam.
And see it the way, I'm not even gonna do that. That one won't even be live. I gotta pull out my camera and shoot it 1080p to get all artsy fartsy with the shot, light it better. But I don't know. I will have a serious talk with my wife if people really want me to talk about it while it's still in theaters. But my plan was to just wait till it came on video so that we could watch it together, because that's what I really want to do. But I will definitely see it. It just might not be in the theater. So anyway.
Yeah, Connor Nuisance back again. All caps. You have to see Top Gun Maverick in theaters.
Well.
He said change your plans again. I'm in Kansas this weekend. I can watch the kids for an evening.
Don't joke about that kind of thing. I'll hold you to that.
He'll fly you there so you can watch them.
Yeah. I went from I don't know if I'm ever even going to watch Top Gun Maverick to the most expensive movie I've ever seen in the theater. I had to pay $700 round trip to get my babysitter here.
And no offense to Connor Nuisance, but I think he would rather pay like a licensed babysitter who knows how to take care of kids than fly you there, Connor, to take care of his kids. But
I didn't even think about that. Maybe so.
There's probably someone in his area that's like experienced in childcare.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and I get that I could try to find that person and hire somebody to babysit. But I don't know. I don't want to get too personal about all that stuff. Nobody's gonna care. But I don't know.
No, it's totally like prerogative. My wife still doesn't feel comfortable letting our like 18-month-old being watched by a babysitter. It's scary stuff.
Somebody we don't know. I don't know. And like. We haven't felt the need to get somebody regularly. So, like, I would want somebody that, like, I regularly have babysit the babies, but we haven't needed that person. So, look, we're wasting everybody's time. Let's move forward. Go ahead.
Adrian Reina Martinez.
Adrian!
I just got in from work. Have you all talked about the new Thunderbolts movie in the works at Marvel? Loving the discussion, gentlemen.
Fine, Gregory Davison. I'll do it. You know what? I will. I will, because I'm not taking that from you. I'm not. But you will have to live with, if it's as bad as I think it's going to be, you're going to have to listen to me screaming into the microphone the entire how we felt about. I'll do a whole friggin' podcast, or a whole friggin' spoiler cast, man. I'll do an hour and a half on Super Pets if you're going to be like that. If Cap doesn't watch Super Pets, it's proof he's not a real superhero fan and he's just been faking all these years. I don't have to take this from you, sir. Does it though, DJ?
No, not at all.
I don't think so either.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I was totally kidding. Yeah, I mean, I almost skipped Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Like, I didn't feel like I necessarily needed to see that in the theater, but Freddie really wanted to go, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll go see it, and then I ended up reviewing it.
Yeah, I love being on those spoiler casts. Those are like one of the most fun things we do.
Just
especially when it's
spoiler cast for crappy things.
No, even when it's bad, it's like the funnest time because like bad movie spoiler casts are so fun. I don't even know if it's fun enough to make me sit through however long that movie is.
It is a lot of fun, but yeah, are you gonna go to that movie just so we can have that experience?
Yeah, that's Sophie's choice. I mean.
It is, yeah. Well, and next week, or probably the week after, because again, I'm going to be out of town. But like, I'm already going to do a spoiler cast on Jurassic House 2, and who knows what that's going to be like. So
yeah. So Bob the Hun says Super Pets looks bad, but I feel you've done worse. Yes, we definitely probably have, but it's the quantity. Like after a while, it just starts to wear you down.
But I've done worse.
You've done two other
How do I
Super
explain
Pets
this?
movies.
Yes, the difference is I did them retroactively in hindsight and didn't have to leave my house and go to the theater and pay theater prices to see it. Like, that's the difference. And there's movies that I've gone to in the theater on purpose that I was pretty sure would be awful that I reviewed. But there was always kind of a chance, right, that they might turn out to be a pleasant surprise and a little better than I thought they were. Like, I could probably count on one hand the number of movies I was just absolutely positive there was no way I would get any joy out of whatsoever, or very little when I went to the theater. I don't review movies before I see them. I don't assume I know the thing. Super Pets is going to be horrible. It just is, because it's intentionally trying. It's intentionally trying to be the kind of movie, at least the way it's being sold, that I really, really hate. And I don't see how there's any way I'm pleasantly surprised by that movie. Every single frame that I've seen goes, nope, not for me. It's Illumination kind of garbage. And
yeah, it's just Scoob in the DC universe, like.
Yeah, and again, I don't do this. I don't close my mind. I don't make assumptions just based on trailers. So this is maybe unfair, but like, you guys have seen those trailers. You know what they're selling. I don't see how there's any way it's not that. And also, even if it's somehow okay, I'm just disappointed because I think you could have done a cool Super Pets movie. And they start from the premise of, let's not use hardly any of the cool Super Pets characters. Let's pretend like those don't exist, and like we need to make up things.
Yeah. It's like, it's that mentality. Kids are dumb.
I I don't mean to be immature
Kids
about
movie has
this,
to be like that.
but the movie looks super immature, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have to defend myself on this, really. Like, I don't know that there's a lot of people watching that.
Wait, are you still talking about Super Pets, or have you switched over to Thor, Love and Thunder?
Okay, just move on. So what else are we going to talk about?
John Ty, $5. Would you rather have superhero stories be all about politics or about the multiverse? Wow, this is a real terrible would you rather. Would you rather have superhero stories be all about politics or about the multiverse?
Well, I don't think he means all superhero movies are about politics. He just means like superhero movies that are the whole thing is about politics or the whole thing is about the multiverse.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up because there have been good superhero movies and certainly superhero stories just at large about both. Like, if you'd asked me this question before Doctor Strange 2, it might have been a little bit easier, but one of like we're in this, mode now of multiverse movies, and the first big one that came out after No Way Home, I liked quite a bit. And there are a lot of superhero movies about politics that I like quite a bit. Winter Soldier is wonderful, and Watchmen is one of my favorite superhero stories in general, and I like the movie a lot, and there's tons of those too. So I think I'm gonna say politics just because there's a better chance of more of those being good. Now, if you say, would you rather multiverse movies or pandering movies that are preaching to a choir, I'm gonna say multiverse. But if you just mean movies that have a political narrative, like a story that's about politics as opposed to a story that tells you how you're supposed to think about the politics, then yeah, I'm gonna pick politics over multiverse all day long. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's much more broad.
Because people think I don't like political, like movies that are about politics, and that's very different from movies that have a political agenda. That's the big difference. And even sometimes that can be okay depending on how it's handled. It just isn't very often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's not even the right way to put that, because I don't like agenda driven in the first place. But I don't know, case by case. Throw me a movie and I'll tell you if it works. I don't know. I don't want to get boxed in. Okay, moving right along. How many more super chats do we have at this point? And should we do some pre-written stuff?
We only have one more, so we can either do that one and then go to pre-written, or we can hold off and do some pre-written. It's about Black Adam.
Yeah, sure. You pick.
All right, we'll knock it out real quick, and then I'll jump in.
Sophie's choice.
Carl Maxey. I still don't think Black Adam should retroactively be a good guy in the comics just because The Rock is playing him.
Are they doing that?
It seems forced to make him good.
Well,
if they're doing that in the comics, then we definitely know where the movie's going.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, well, there's no chance it's what I was 1% hoping it might be. But yes, I agree with that. Absolutely. I don't have much to add because we always do this, and there's always this synergy thing, and the big two in comics these days seem like they're there a lot more to sell movie tickets than they are to tell their own stories, and I don't understand that in the first place, because the people that are buying comics are already the people that are probably watching your movies.
It's funny. I mean, I guess it's because it's Sony, but like Marvel didn't put out a Venom hero book when those movies came out because they don't care, because it's Sony.
Oh, I guess we didn't answer Adrian's question, but no, we didn't talk about the Thunderbolts thing. I don't know anything, so pardon me, I don't know anything about that. Austin sent me something about that today. I think he said that project, picked a director or something? I can't even remember now. I can look this up. But honestly, I forgot that was even a thing that was happening. Austin said that was a thing that at one time James Gunn wanted to make, and that didn't end up working out. I had not heard this. He said that's the reason Gunn took Suicide Squad, was because he didn't get to do Thunderbolts.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Austin always keeps up with the behind-the-scenes stuff like that.
Yes, I'm a total fraud compared to Austin. Jake Schreier as director. I'm not sure who he is. Here's another article from Deadline. We're just really
they're pushing Deadline.
Deadline today.
Not a sponsor.
No, not at all. We don't have those except for me. Uh, Marvel Studios' top secret Thunderbolts movie looks to have gained momentum as Deadline has learned that Jake Schreier is set as director of the new Marvel tentpole. Eric Pearson, who wrote Black Widow, is writing this. Not much is known about the plot of the film. Okay, look, you're Deadline. You can't use article adjective. Not much is known about the plot of film, other than it revolves around a group of villains who are sent on missions commissioned by the government, which you'd know if you knew what Thunderbolts was, unless they decide to make Thunderbolts something else entirely, which would not be completely beneath Marvel. But I think we can pretty much assume that that's going to happen. So yeah, I don't know what he's directed or anything. Does this say? Because I would probably... Oh, here we go. Schreier, who cut his teeth directing classic Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar music videos, broke onto the scene with his 2013 Sundance darling Robot and Frank, which I've never heard of. So yeah, stuff I don't know. It sounds like the kind of director that very often Marvel goes to now. So yeah, I got not a lot to say about that, except that could be a cool premise. We've been going a lot more lately to when we do original stuff. Well, I guess this is only true for Disney Plus. I was gonna say for original stuff that came out a lot more recently, and Thunderbolts is kind of a '90s thing, but that's not wholly true either. I guess Eternals is quite a bit older. Okay, look, the sex bots have got to stop. We need to find some way to end the sex bot takeover of Geekvolution.
I logged into my other account so I can handle this for you.
Oh, thank you. They're showing up in regular comments as well as in live shows. Usually right after a show finishes. Is it because I'm doing these things live? I don't know. A show will broadcast, and immediately I'll have a couple comments, and I'm like, oh, cool. Let's see what people are saying about my video. And then it'll be a bunch of nonsense gobbledygook in another language, and you'll hit the translate button, and it won't make any sense. And I'm not deleting videos just because they're in different languages, but nobody for 13 years practically ever left comments in a different language on Geekvolution. Immediately you go, well, that's going to be probably a robot, and then it is. And yeah, there's some lewd, crude stuff that happens with some of these bots. I don't know. Is that when you know that you're done on YouTube? That maybe it might be time to pack it in, DJ? Is when the sex bots take over, or is that when you've made it? Oh,
that's when you've made it. Yeah, you're big enough to attract the bots.
I see.
But no, I logged into my other one that is an admin, so I can remove those for you now. So you don't have to think about it. I got it.
I appreciate it. Well, now it's all that's on my mind. This is a problem.
Well, let's see if Mutale can take it off your mind with his pre-written question.
Oh, thanks, Mutale. Thanks for writing things before. Did he at you? What did he call you?
The welder, not
okay.
Reading guy, unfortunately, but that was after. So
well,
I didn't know
that was probably 19 years before Reading Guy came up. So.
All right, Captain DJ, what alternate versions of yourself would you want to meet?
Sorry, can I read this real quick? Bob the Hun, talking about the sex bot thing. It's trying to take advantage of the fact that all your viewers are virgins. That's not true.
Oh yeah, well some
and even if it is, why are we judging people?
Well, some jerk face. I didn't bring it up the day of, but a couple weeks ago we were talking about the She-Hulk trailer.
Yeah,
and we were like, what's the joke? They're having sex. Hilarious. Like, you didn't write a joke. Someone in the chat was like, oh, it's real surprising that two virgins don't understand the sex joke. I'm like, we have 7 kids between us.
Yeah.
It was a name I didn't recognize. It must have been some new guy popped in who just wanted to be a jerk. But anyway.
Well, I wasn't going to bring up my very complex genetics lab that made all my children possible, but
yeah, it's been a hard time. I mean, you would think because of how difficult it is for him to have children, he wouldn't have 5, but he really put the work into that lab.
That is, yeah, we still accidentally ended up with twins. I don't know. Okay, I'd like to hear that question from Mutale again.
Sure. I'm guessing this is like a multiverse scenario. Kappa DJ, what alternate versions of yourself?
The answer is politics.
Would you want to meet?
Alternate version of myself. I've always been fascinated by, and this is a thing I wrote about in my first novel, which is I don't know if ironic is the right word, but amusingly, because of everything going on right now, with people arguing about whether multiverse is even a cool, a fun concept, or if it's always gimmicky, kind of like time travel. The first book I ever wrote was about multiverse. It's always been an idea that I was fascinated with, and my main character in that book meets different versions of himself. And one of them is a female version, and I always thought that would be kind of interesting.
Ooh,
just
yeah.
to see what you'd be like in a different universe if you were born of the opposite sex.
So
And,
like the Loki show, you would just fall in love.
yeah, no, that's weird and kind of gross, but I don't know, that's what would happen. I would just want to compare notes, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really interested in what sort of relationship we would have. I just want to know, like, if I am born a she, what kind of life do I lead? Like where do I go? Do I end up, interested in the same things and going the same direction? And then what ends up, of course, blowing your mind about all that is then, you compare notes, you get to the end of all of that, and then you go, okay, but like butterfly effect and everything, how much of this really had to do with the fact that we were born with different chromosomes, and how much of it is just we had different life experiences? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think that's actually a very interesting idea if you do it thoughtfully and like that's what it's about, not just turn into like a romance fun ride show, like because you are attracted to a lot of the qualities in yourself. You also hate a lot of the qualities in yourself, but and you're kind of
You speak for yourself, sir.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people want to be with someone that's what you look. A lot of people look for someone that's very similar. But a lot of people want someone who's like the exact same interest as me, and that usually doesn't work. You usually have to find opposites do attract, and that's a pretty good truism. But sometimes you find someone that's just very, very, very similar to you. And I don't know. I think that would be an interesting thing to explore, but I don't know if they did that in Loki. I haven't watched it, but it doesn't sound like they did.
What version? Well, and I liked those characters on screen together. I thought it worked a little better than some other folks did, but I only gave it one watch, and I can't speak to it articulately right now. But DJ, what version of yourself from an alternate dimension would you want to meet?
It's hard for me to just like, well, I guess I can pick anything because that's what the theory says. There's literally every version. So I would like to pick versions that I almost were superlative. I almost was. I don't know.
Like, here's a decision I nearly picked,
Yeah.
but I went down the other road.
Yeah, so I went to school for visual effects and motion graphics. I've told the story before. I got cancer. I had to take a year off school. I completely changed my direction. It worked out perfectly. I met my wife. Happy ending. But if I had stuck, I switched majors to graphic design. If I had stayed in visual effects, got into that world, got into the film industry, working on films. I mean, I'd love to. I don't know if I want to meet that person though, because I'm like, wow, that would have been really cool, and now I want your life.
There's a part of you that wants it to be depressing, where it's like, oh, that went horribly wrong. Thank God I chose the career path I took.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like another part of me that thought about like pursuing more of the martial arts acrobatics part of my life and going into like getting into stunt work and stuff, and maybe end up in the film industry that way. Like there was a lot of different paths and different interests that I had, college years that I had to pick one. That's what happens, kids. You gotta pick one. You can't be good at everything.
Yeah, there's a version of me that probably went down a career path that was lucrative.
Oh, why'd you wait till I drank a big? I don't know if you meant that to be funny, but that was really funny.
I kind of took the starving artist path, and my wife took the architecture path, and I've always thought that there's maybe another dimension, and I'm with you, I don't know if I want to meet this person or not. There's another reality where we flipped it, because Sarah was between architecture, like we both were between two things that one was more likely to make us money, and the other was more likely to I don't know, maybe make us happy or maybe not, or just at the time seemed to be, for me, the more fulfilling thing. But I can't say that for Sarah, because she had two passions that she was both equally passionate about, and neither did she choose because one was more lucrative. Just one turned out to be, certainly. So she could have been an architect, or she could have been a linguist. Although there could have been money in that too, honestly. But I was between trying to become a therapist and becoming a writer. I was between those two things, and so there's probably a version of me somewhere that has like a therapy practice, and he's making six figures, or he has a really crappy therapy practice and he's not making any money. I guess that's also possible.
I'm starting to think I just have no face.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I think I've gotten more people that I look like in these shows than.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this entire time no one could see you, but could see me, and I don't see how that's possible, or how we wouldn't have found out about it for an hour and a half.
No, because Chewbacca's lover says DJ looks like Jared Leto, which I've never got that one before. I've gotten so many different ones. Last week on the show, I got Wesley Crusher.
Wesley Crusher.
I feel like I just have generic white guy face that you can just fill in whoever I look like, because I've gotten so many different people.
Yeah, who's the guy from Heroes that people say you look like? That one's right, and I thought that when I first met you, that Milo.
Yeah, Milo Ventimiglia. Whatever.
There you go.
I can never say his last name. Yeah, I get that one all the time. That's the prevailing one, but I never got Jared Leto, Chewbacca's lover. So thanks for that, I guess.
I'm not seeing that, but
I don't have a cult at the moment. Maybe I'll meet the alternate version.
Get a temporary tattoo that says "damaged" over your forehead, and then we'll see just how close.
Yeah, that'll pull it all together.
How close that is. Cody Anime Fan says, "I want to see an alternate universe version of Cap that's DJ's moderator."
Wow, that would be a train wreck.
Also more lucrative.
Oh. All right. Well, these are going great. Let's do another pre-written.
All right.
I saw this one earlier. Daniel, this is great for us.
I don't know why I'm turning into Aquaman, but all right.
My man. Daniel Davis. This is a perfect one for me and Cap to talk about.
Oh,
What's
I'm
something
excited.
that you bought that you regretted immediately?
Don't build it up too hard. Oh, man! Every time a question like this comes up, I always feel like I'm not gonna pick the best possible thing I could say. Yeah, boy, I've had that.
I'll just turn around for a second.
It's not the only things you own aren't Blu-rays, DJ. You own other things.
Pretty much. I mean, you'd be surprised. It's
well, that's true.
Clothes on my back and my Blu-ray collection.
I was gonna say I have hung out with you in person at your place, and besides the Blu-ray thing, he's pretty frugal.
Yeah, there's nothing in my house. We were just sitting on the floor watching movies the whole time Cap was here.
It was weird. Yeah, it was like it was like going to a Buddhist monastery or something, but with Blu-rays. It was really strange.
It's my one vice I can't give up. The monks have been talking to me about it. I can't do it.
His wife handed me a robe when I walked in. I was like, what are we doing? This is weird.
Good grief. You're going to scare Connor away. He's supposed to be coming in a couple weeks.
No, he's not. He's coming here, and he's...
That's true. He's canceled on me, so you can come watch your kids.
He's going to watch my kids so that I can go see Maverick and not Super Pets. Yeah, what is a thing... The thing that you most regretted right after... Because I mean, I know I've had stuff. Goodness. The first thing that comes to mind is just stuff that when I was a kid were maybe okay things that I spent too much money on, where like, yeah, it takes so long when you're a kid to save money, and I'd have like 40 or 50 bucks, and I've always had a hard time keeping money in my pocket going all the way back to when I was a kid, so like I'd really want to spend it on something, and you'd go to a store and you'd really want to leave with something, but you spend too much. And my kids, by the way, are all really good at not doing that. Like, if they don't find a thing they just absolutely have to have, they hang on to their money. I don't have the mentality. I don't know how to do that. And I don't really know how they've gotten that way with me raising them. Because, like, their mom is more that way, but they see me more often, and somehow I haven't screwed them up in that department. And that makes me very happy, but I take no credit for it, because I don't know how it worked out that way. But I remember spending, like, $30 brand new on... the VHS tape for Return of Jafar when it came out.
Oh, wow.
That movie is horrible. But I was really excited about the idea of a sequel to one of the better Disney animated movies.
What a crazy memory to have.
Yeah. I remember that was the first case of massive buyer's remorse I remember having.
I'm sure I've had this, but what I remember much more is things that I didn't, because I'm the opposite of Cap.
You don't buy stuff.
I will think of, and when I do buy stuff, I have to think about it for like, and like argue with myself for like an hour. Like I go back and forth, and I'm like, does this make sense? Am I being a bad father if I spend money on this instead of like something for my kids? Like I have a really hard time spending stuff. I usually need my wife to convince me. She's like you, so it's like she'll be like, just do it. What are you doing? Who cares? It's $20. Like I'll be debating with myself for minutes on end about something that's $20. It's like,
okay, but the difference between me and you is you keep money in your pocket, and there's also pros to that, you know.
But what I have more is things that I regret not buying, because for instance, and I'll give this example because it's relevant. The Time Bandits Blu-ray for the Criterion Collection for the '80s movie Time Bandits by Terry Gilliam, it comes with this slipcover. Is it like one of the only, I think it is the only Criterion that comes with a slipcover. It's this awesome lenticular. You can't really see it's lenticular because it's still sealed, but
that's cool.
I found this at Half Price Books for $20. And it was before I was into Criterion. I hadn't even heard of this movie. I knew nothing about it, hadn't seen it. I didn't like to do blind buys because I've been burned by that in the past. And so I was like debating, should I buy it? It's really nice. It was $20. I should have bought it. I didn't buy it. I put it back. You cannot find this anywhere for less than $100 now.
Wow.
So I was kicking myself for not picking it up. I've been kicking myself for years. My wife finally broke it down and got it for me for a Father's Day present. So this is super cool of my awesome wife. The reason I have it early, because it's not Father's Day yet, is that she accidentally sent it to our old address and we had to go get it from the lady. I was so thankful that the lady kept it and didn't damage it or open it or anything. So that worked out. But yeah, I'm killing myself for losing basically $80 on that when I could have bought it right there at Half Price Books. But that's what I have more often, is stuff I didn't buy, and then I end up having to pay more for it anyway.
See, I've had this with technology a lot, but you can usually take stuff back. You know, where you'll buy something that just doesn't work properly, or it's a really crap. Like, like I had a projector where the bulb went out, and I couldn't immediately figure out how to get another bulb for it, and I thought I was sunk, that like I couldn't buy bulbs for it for less than an obscene amount of money, and it would be cheaper to just replace the projector. And then I went out and I was having a hard time finding a projector, and I bought one too cheap, and it was terrible, and I regretted it immediately, but I was able to take it back. I'm having a hard time coming up with a really juicy one, but I know I've got stuff. God, I hate that. I kind of want to revisit this at some point. Like, if I think of something, I'll post about it.
Cap regrets me selling him a Galaga machine because it eventually cost him like thousands of dollars because he has a whole addiction now because of it.
Yeah, that changed the face of the bunker.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That was when you were here just 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's not. Well, almost 3 now, but 2.5, I guess. Yeah.
It's been 3 already. Wow.
No, I'm really hoping we can find some way to get together this year because we couldn't make it work last year, and we need to do that.
We do. It was a lot of fun. I got Cap to jump on my trampoline, guys.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit better shape now. I wouldn't mind it as much at this point.
All right, shall we? Let's see. What else we got here in the pre-writtens? Somebody wants to know. Tyler Thompson, Cap, did you see the new Predator trailer?
No. I will try to watch that and mention it next week, maybe. Although I'm not a big Predator guy, so I don't know what insights I can bring to the table on that. I've seen. Well, I like the second one quite a bit. I've seen the first Predator movie one time, and then Eric made me watch the second one, and I thought it was just absolutely out there and insane, and I really enjoyed it. I forgot about that, actually. And I guess he and I watched the new one together and liked it more than anybody else on the planet. And it's not a great movie, but I enjoyed it. But anyway, so I haven't seen that yet. Austin sent me the trailer before it got taken down, and I guess it's back up now, but I haven't gotten around to looking at it, so yeah.
Gregory Davidson says, and you didn't film it? We
did.
Need trampoline action on the channel. We did. It's on Patreon.
It's on Patreon, yep.
If you ever uploaded it. I don't know if you did.
I did.
We did film it. We set up a tripod and jumped around like children for a good 20 minutes. It was great.
It was unfortunate, but we did it. We didn't swim on camera, but we did that.
That's true. I have a pool now. We could do that this time.
You have a pool?
No, not. We didn't get like a in-ground pool. It's just an above-ground pool.
Okay,
But
that's cool.
we are thinking about moving. Actually, we actually went and
Really?
viewed a house today. So
Wow.
that might be happening. I don't know. I'm stressed out.
You've
about
only
it.
been there like about 3 years, right? Because you only
Yeah.
lived there a little while before I saw it. I went and saw it.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years, but
Oh,
we
that
don't.
long. Okay.
We the schools are not great here, and my son's
I'm
going to
sorry
be
to
in
hear that.
kindergarten next year, so we're trying to get to a good area so he can stay in the same school and not have to move halfway through his elementary. But anyway, Day Ghost says Prey looks awesome, which is the Predator trailer.
Yep.
I've heard people talking about it. So it looks
It
good.
sounds interesting. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it until I've seen the trailer. How many more super chats do we have?
We got one that came in. All it is Adam Arch saying, "Put this towards the Super Pets Fund."
Oh, now people are throwing money and writing super pets in the thing. You have to be okay with just like no holds barred, like losing it if it's as bad as I think it's gonna be.
See, that's what makes me want to do it. Like, I kind of want to be there for that because I missed the Doctor Strange one, and you guys. I mean, not that was that same thing, but you guys had so
No,
much fun on the
we
Doctor
like
Strange
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also just degenerated into White Castle, and I still don't understand how that happened. Somebody earlier was like, I forget who it was, said I want to see the universe where Cap reviews Super Pets and goes to White Castle. You might be in that universe. It might turn out that you're in that universe right now.
Yeah, we'll all meet up. All the spoiler cast people will meet up at a White Castle after the movie. We'll have to find a city that has a White Castle and a theater.
Do we?
And
Haas
is
is
like
making fun of me now
central with
because
all
he
of
thinks
us.
I have to watch Super Pets. Should we get T-shirts printed up that say the Super Chat people?
That's their name. That's the name of the crew.
Adam March, that's what we wanted, Cap. We need the insanity. I don't know how much fun it'll be. There's a possibility it'll just be me on camera going.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a fun bad.
No, I don't think there's any chance.
No, it's just going to be Kevin Hart and Rock free, like riffing and.
That video will be me unsubscribing from you. I don't even know what that means.
Cap unsubscribed.
Unsubscribe. You don't have to worry about hitting that bell. There is no bell. Okay, so DJ, do you see like one more just really great pre-written question?
Sure.
And we still got ostensibly a little bit more time left in the show. If folks want to throw in any more super chats, I'm not gonna say last call yet. If somebody wants to, I guess this would be last call. But like if you want to put in another one, feel free. We'll talk about another question here for a minute, and then if that's it for the evening, we will go ahead and kick out and do After Dark in about 10 minutes after that. Well, I say 10 minutes. I gotta wait until after Brandon gets here, but he should be here soon. So anyway.
All right, I don't see anything just revolutionary, and it's most.
Now, come on, guys. Where are those revolutionary questions?
Yeah, where are the? Yeah, I need a revelation. That's
I'd
what I
start a
need.
revolution if I could get up in the morning. Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason I don't want to. I'm not dogging on your questions, but the reason I say that is because it's a lot of the same people that we've already asked pre-written questions from, because those guys hop in at the beginning.
Front of the shirt, the super chat people. Back of the shirt, not dogging on your questions.
But yeah. So we got that one's about Joker. We pretty much talked about that. I'm trying to just want something that we haven't really already talked about. Here, this is kind of an interesting, like not related, not topical one, but just like about you and your channel. This is good, Mitali. Cap, what DCEU director would you want to direct an adaptation of Edible States?
Oh man, these kinds of questions. I have to remember directors. Okay, so specifically a DCEU director.
Clearly, Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Well,
I think he would
like,
really understand what Cap is going for in that book.
I don't know. He might be right for it if only he wasn't involved at all in plotting it.
Yeah, he can adapt stuff, or at least we think so. A lot of people don't agree with us, but
I would have Ty or somebody that I know that's a good artist storyboard it, and then Snyder direct it from a storyboard. He's great at that, I think. Or at least he has been in the past. It's been a while since he made a thing I liked, so I don't know if he could still do that. But
James
back
Gunn
in '09, he could. Sorry, what?
James Gunn is a DCEU director now. He could do it.
Well, I'd probably pick him over Snyder, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the sensibilities of the piece, or of the book, it is quirky and wacky and out there, but it would read more like an indie kind of film, more like an art house sort of thing, especially if it was done as vignettes, like the book is. So I'd almost maybe go for the Todd Phillips, or the Joker director.
Yeah, that could work too.
But I don't think you can do that unless it's animated. Like, this is all a moot point. There's no making that in live action.
So whoever's directing Super Pets would have to do it.
Oh. He said DCEU, although my choice was not an EU thing either, so unsubscribe.
We got one.
There's a time I might have said Whedon. But yeah, I'm sorry. What,
yeah, I guess
it
technically is. But we did get one revolutionary question in from the Day Ghost. He says, "What are your thoughts on butter brands?"
We had a whole diatribe the other day about butter on the request.
I mean, Land O'Lakes is like the most confusing title for a brand. I don't know what they're thinking. Especially the font they use. It looks like it's saying something completely different.
We had this real fun exchange where we were talking about how, because I made the point we were reviewing a not particularly good recent Marvel event from 2018. I guess not super recent, but recent to me. I haven't been reading current. And Austin, and it seems like it was kind of the beginning of the end for a lot of people. And Austin, I brought up how in the 90s, people felt like you had to pick between DC and Marvel, and you had to be a fan of one or the other, and you had to kind of pick sides, and the brand loyalty thing. And then I started talking about it like things have changed, and then we realized, oh no, it's worse on the internet. Like that's just what it's like. Like we're so divided on everything. It's not just politics. It's like everything. Like if somebody likes Batman and you like Superman, not only are you wrong, you're like morally reprehensible for it now. And then Austin goes, yeah, people are like this with butter. Like you gotta have the right butter brand. Yeah, I don't pay attention to what kind of butter I eat. I try to avoid butter as much as possible. I don't eat a lot of butter.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary. I mean, unless you're cooking, a lot of things you use it to cook, but like,
yeah,
you don't really need it. You can just eat bread.
Well,
That's
and
fine.
if I'm cooking, I just pull whatever the stick of butter is that my wife buys, and I don't even know what that is, it's just whatever and like, it's not like I've never done our grocery shopping. We go to a particular grocery store and we just get kind of the house brand. Like we don't have a particular brand of butter that we care about.
Band of Butters, the
I knew you were gonna go there.
the less popular war film.
Matthew Bass, I can't believe it's not butter. Then what is it? Yeah, I made that joke, or I made a joke similarly on that show.
Yeah, are you including
where I said
substitutes like that?
Oh, that's really? You have the wrong butter. I can't believe you picked. I can't believe it's not butter. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are you including non-butter substitutes like that?
Yeah,
like margarine.
Yeah, margarine.
Or are you only interested in real butter, Day Ghost?
All right, well, on that note, guys, thanks so much for watching tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. Next week, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Branson all week. Jason and I are going to try to broadcast for you on the road at least a couple of times. So we will probably do a special on the road Captain Logan Show next Thursday, or if that doesn't work out, because we're going there for Jason's dance competition, and I think that's a day where we're actually fully available. So we probably will broadcast that night, but we won't have DJ because I won't have my whole setup, and it won't be real easy to have somebody remote. So Jason and I will just do the show ourselves that night. DJ, I'm not kicking you out, okay? I'm not traveling with a laptop. It's not gonna. I won't have OBS. It's not gonna be real feasible to. If only we still had Google Hangouts, then I'd be able to do it. But
yeah, no worries. I'll take a vacation.
So it won't be a regular Captain Logan show. It'll be kind of a little special. Me and Jason chatting with you about whatever you guys want to talk about like normal. But anyway, so we're planning on doing that, and possibly if we have time to see it while we're out of town, how we felt about on Jurassic House 2, and then I will maybe do a spoiler cast on that movie. I said earlier I was doing that. That's the plan right now. If I don't have all that much to say beyond how we felt about, I won't bother with it. But the plan right now is the week after, after it's been out for a couple weeks, we'll go ahead and also do a spoiler cast. I gotta milk the Jurassic House for all it's worth. And I'm really hoping that there's a house in that movie, but there probably won't be. But that's okay, because House of the Dead 2 also had nothing to do with a house. So there's precedent for this. You can do it. It's fine. Anyway, we've got Captain Logan After Dark coming at you on Patreon right after this show. So about 10 to 15 minutes, you can pop on with us, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're doing a commentary tonight on a movie that we've all seen, but with the descriptive audio commentary, and it's gonna be so much fun to go through that. We're doing Iron Man, so come and check it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and that was DJ Martinez,
AKA Jared Leto,
AKA guy with the boxes, and then what was the other one? Reading guy.
Reading guy.
Yeah.
Have no fear, reading guy is here.
Later, folks. Had a really fun time with you, as always. We'll see you soon.